factors that I think are necessary for the archer to have the right arrow is the arrow has to be straight, first off, and then the second one, it has to have the right spine. And by spine, that means how pliable is that arrow? How much does it bend? And that is measured in a specific way, and then that correlates back to the archer's bow weight. For every archer and his bow, there is a specific spine that will perform the best for him. When I get arrow shafts into my shop, the first thing I do is I spine and I weigh them. I put them into bundles, so to speak, or they're sorted, and you match them as close as possible. Then when I go to make arrows, I then pick the arrows that are needed with the right spine and the weight. And so these are arrows I know are all matched in weight and spine. The archer, when he gets his arrows, he naturally wants them to be straight because it's such a key element for him to have success in hitting the target. The bend is created by some soft wood on one side, so what you have to do is you have to put a little compression on that side. And the way you do that is just simply with a screwdriver, just rub that down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this little gizmo, and this is called an arrow straightener. It was primarily designed for aluminum arrows, but you can straighten any arrow with it. And we're going to rotate that arrow, and we can see where that bend is. It's pretty straight now. Then we get into the decorating stage, and this is always the romance of traditional archery. You have arrows that look kind of neat. They have cresting, and cresting, as the name implies, it identifies that arrow as your particular arrow. When you look at the feathers on the arrow, actually that's what steers the arrow, and it actually stiffens the arrow a slight amount. This is called a fletching jig, and what the fletching jig does is it applies the fletchings to the arrow. It has a clamp where you put the feather in, and what you would do is you would take this arrow, for example, you'd put it in here, and you'd put your feather now in here, like so. I'd put a little strip of glue on there, and then I press down, and that will hold it in place until the glue dries. The arrow now is basically 90% done. The next step is a pretty minor one, is we sand the end of the feather a little bit because there's a rough edge there, and put a dab of glue on. Let that dry, and then we spray silicone over the feathers to give them a little bit of a waterproofing. Then we take the arrow and we cut it to length, and then we apply the point. Both of these points, either a field point or a broadhead on it, we glue that on with hot glue, and we put the arrow in the box and ship it off to the customer.